All right, Paolo and Max, welcome back. Sounds like you guys have been wizarding away since we last spoke. Feels like it's been just a few weeks and also many lifetimes. So tell me, what have you been wizarding on? I'd love to hear the update.
Yeah, I mean, where to even start, right, Max? It's
It's been a lot.
been it's been a lot of good updates. I think if we take it sort of, from the big picture, we really took the time to understand from the last version what were the pain points, the usability, the communication, the experience of O that we wanted to have. And so we've been really cleaning up, making the backbone much stronger, simpler to use, much more insights and analytics so that people can really get to understand their networks in a different way, ask questions about companies, right? Interact with it differently and get everything ready for the integrations that are coming on the next release, as well as the new website and really communication. The vision of the operating system for networks is the North Star. That's where we want to head to, that's where we're going towards. And what is of value today that doesn't exist that O provide is that networking agent, right? So really, how do we allow for people to bring memory, execution, context, right, and actions into their networks and their trusted ones so that they can always remember their relationships, they can find relevant people and warm introductions, and ultimately take actions based on what they're looking to achieve next with the trusted partners. So really starting that as the basis. So it's been, I think, a long journey of getting to that point, and I'm sure Max also has a lot of things to add to this.
Like finding warm introductions to people based on have they gone to the same university at the same time? Did they work at the same job at the same time? Are they living in the same place? Do they share the same skill? And then with one click, you can get the system to write a warm introduction from you through that person to the next one based on shared context. Really, that memory piece is really interesting since now when I go to an event, after the event, I don't have to just, write down all of my notes. I can literally just click on a little button and record a voice memo as well, and just talk to the system and be like, hey, I went to this event. I had a really good conversation with Paolo about the future of AI, networking, conversations, and etc. I can just, like mumble out my knowledge, and it will be transcribed, summarized by the system, and then connected into a node connected to Paolo. And then I can always go back and see um, that memory essentially. And it's super good because I'm not even using my own memory solutions like iPhone notes or like Docs anymore. I just use that because it's also beautifully connected to other nodes. Um, what else? Like alumni movements, looking into companies, where have people worked before? What are their skill distributions? And a lot of really cool insights and analytics. So yeah, we're just super excited to open up that new version to the world. And now
Yeah,
we're looking forward to get your reaction because you've seen the first version and now you will see the update. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting one.
great. Yeah, well, you want to take a look? Should we look through it a little bit, or is there more to say before that?
No, I think we can jump in. I can start to share my screen.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, this is really now all when you jump into it. We have, everything that you can do from discovering, analyzing your network, creating nodes, acting, etc. So this is really the new interface where everything is becoming simpler to use for the user. Same controls as before, right? You can still select your friend's network and other ones as you view it. We now also have a global search, which is super cool, right? Maybe you just want to look for something quickly, like AI engineer or something like that. And we can already help you find some of those connections there as well. So just coming up with these different sort of ways of engaging with all the information is very important for us. Then one last thing or important thing as well as Max was mentioning, making it simpler to create reminders. So maybe I'm coming here, I'm just using the platform, and I can go and say, hey, remind me to follow up with Andrew about the Sumbios video. Right. So something like that. I love to use Whisperflow. I can just set it up. Now I don't actually need to forget. So I can either create the reminder this way, or I can also just chat with it and say, hey, create a reminder to reach out to my investor circles tomorrow at 10 p.m. So I can just tell the system. And I really love this because now, as you see, it's really helping you act as an assistant, right? So now I can confirm the action. I can do it. I can set up the time. I can set up the priorities. I can add some additional notes here, and I can confirm it. So tomorrow, I will actually come back here and have all of my reminders in one place. And it's the same with notes, right? Say, for example, I want to come here and I want to create a note for Max, right? I can just search across everything, companies, notes, circles, etc. But I can put Max here and I can go and say, hey, create a note about Maximilian. We spoke about sales in Sumbios and everything that we are putting in terms of preparing for the launch. He came up with a really good framework and sequence around our launch strategy. So now I can do this, and you can imagine you can put anything into this, and this is where all the notes, all the people, all the relationships are starting to come in. I can also put some tags. I can link it to a person, etc. So now all this information is contextualized, and if I go to my workspaces and my notes and documents, I have all of these in one place. So this is really where that relational memory starts to come in, as you get to see, the breadth of the conversations that you've had, which people or companies they're tied to, right? And this is also important to know. Now companies are an entity of its own, right? So if I go to Sumbios, I can get to see all the information, people who are in my network, and other things like that. So everything just becomes very simple for us to maneuver and click around. So make it a very seamless experience for the end user. This is really where a lot of our focus has been, alongside what Max was telling of the different intelligence. So maybe we can start with the new dashboard, right? So this is the dashboard today, which we did not have last time we spoke, where we really have a full visibility and signals around things that are important to you. So as you may recall from last call, Andrew, one of the things that we had was the circles, right? You talk to people, you create essentially circles around, people that you want to reach out to, whether it's investors, maybe someone for your podcast, experts in the Nordics, whatever it may be. And on each of these circles, what now you get to do is you get to activate news and signals. We've had those before, but now we even have activity, LinkedIn posts, other things like that. And signals are more around, changes in legal, jobs, patents. So we essentially go and search the web for relevant information for these users so that I can either communicate or engage with them, right? So in this Nordic AI experts, now I can give to my network a bunch of different news. I can start to engage with them. I can really get to see, what have they been talking, what have they been posting. So it just helps me simplify that much, much further. Another thing that we have is this intelligence brief. So we really double down on our network analytics and insights to give you a much better understanding about your network. What may be some blind spots? So I only have 7 connections in cybersecurity, only 18 in biotech, in legal, etc. So really helping you see and also understand who may be really good connectors in your network, who you should keep nurturing and engage with. We also then have all of these cluster insights, so that if I wanted to come here as an example and look at my venture capital connections, I can see things such as seniority distribution, me versus my tribe, where are we in terms of skills, who are the top people in this in terms of the number of connections that they have. So which ones are really the hyper connectors in each industry in my network, so that I can reach out to them, I can talk to them, I can engage with them in a much more meaningful way. This one is the one that Max absolutely loves, which is the hidden bridges, right? So who may be able to help you make introductions from one person to the other? And the way that we really calculate those is by, signal breakdown, company overlap, education overlap, skills, other things like that, to help you get some insights behind it. And beyond that, we've also now allowed you to categorize your network based on different insights. So for example, I can come here to Pattern, and I can always go into between us, and I can go in the between us, and I can start to add some tags, right? Is this a key connector? Is he a thought leader, a decision maker? Is he a close friend? Whatever it may be, right? I can really start to add this context. And also, we allow you to see other things like, what is between the two of you, shared skills, company overlaps, mutual connections that you have, other things like that, so that you really get to understand the breadth of this. And of course, as we start to collect in the next iteration, email and calendar, what are your interactions? Who are profiles that may be similar to him? Activities, this is where all of the posts and things like that will come into, as well as deep information for each university that they've attended, different lenses. So, how does Peter look like from an educator perspective? So you can really see that this is really some of his strengths, etc. And a bit of a summary about him. And as well as all of the experience, all of the companies, now you can click them. So just making everything much simpler to use and accessible.
And even out of the person profile, you can see who could introduce me to this person.
Yes. So this is Max, right? So if I come here now and I do the find the path, we can start to find common connections. So who can connect me to Max based on things such as, did they study at the same university during the same time, location-based, skill-based, other things like that. And finally, I really love this one. You can also watch for changes. So, what if I do this, now I can monitor for any changes that Max may do in his profile. So did he get a new job, things like that. So you can really focus on those relationships that you want to nurture when there's something important in their career that you may want to do. And of course, we help you now also add information regarding things like email, phone, and other things like that. And this is important, as if I go now on LinkedIn and I have this person in my network, you will also see that we have a complete new browser extension, and all those insights are also here. So even if I'm browsing Max's profile, I can also add notes and reminders to this person. So I can just say, remind me to reach out tomorrow. But most importantly as well, if this person has any contact information in their LinkedIn that is made available to you because you're connected, you can also extract that. So now you see I get his email and his address. So now if I come back to O, I'm able to have that as well. So making it very simple for you to just bring information into the system so that you really can create that relational data for your network in a very simple way. And if I wanted to just ask something about Max, like, hey, what can you tell me about Max's profile in regards to artificial intelligence and sustainability? All right, so now you can just link all the entities, get any reasoning. I can even ask, are there any similar people in my network to Max that I could reach out to, etc. All right, so here you just have all of these insights. So we're making it much more agentic. I can also now go and do something called research. All right, so I can also do deep research now. So I can go and say, great, now can you conduct a deep research on Max? Make sure to look at his profiles and other information on the web to find other nuances about him. So With this, now it acts sort of as a mini perplexity for your network, allowing you to reason across many different data points. So you see the system now is going out there and finding publicly available information about Max. It already found some things on ChangeMaker Exchange. So really go out there and create a full analysis, which I really like, because if I'm about to meet someone as an example, or have a meeting with a new lead or someone that I just connected with, I can ask O to help me create an agenda and help me bring any context that may be relevant for this person as talking points or other things like that. So really just helping you to augment all of that information so that you can have a deeper context about what you want to connect with and talk about. So you see it went through different sources, it's able to score them, and it's synthesizing everything. So you see it's matching against your network, it's really reasoning across everything that you have, and just helping you give full visibility about Max. Right, so this
And
is
these
really
these
where,
reports can
yeah,
then also be stored as a node, so you always also
exactly.
retain that context.
So if I go here now and I put the node title, I can say Max Deep Research. I can save it. And now if I come to my workspaces, now I can see the notes. And of course, I can now just relate it to him. I can also attach documents if I wanted to, but you see everything is just saved here. And with that, if I now were to open the relationship map as well, you see that there is a research about Max also associated with it. So everything is just kind of in one system, right? This is really where the memory plays starts to come into place. Another thing that we've added, which is important, is the ability to do lead research. So if, for example, I was looking at people at Sumbios AI, I can do that. I can say Sumbios AI. I can now search for people that are part of this company. So the system also allows you to look for people outside of your network and being able to see, who have you already connected, who's part of it. I can view the profile if they're part of my network. But if not, you would also be able to then open their profiles, add it to your network, and do all of those things. But if we just look to the discovery one to finalize this, is
Mhm.
you also have different filters, whether you want to look at it from a city, country. But then if we come here now back into the intelligence, one of the important things, as Max was mentioning, is called this alumni movement. So for every company, I can also start to get an understanding of, where are there other people that are working at IKEA that have worked at other companies. So I get to see an understanding of how my network is moving, who are some of those people. Same with stealth startup, right? So who is in stealth mode right now? What are some of the companies that I can see in my network that there is a change to start to understand, where are they coming from? What are some movements? What are some intelligence, etc. And this one around stealth mode is really, really important, especially for the venture capital and investment side of things, as it allows us to, even for Sumbios, right, to understand where are we coming from, what is that distribution of people in the company, and what companies have they previously worked on. So for an analyst and other things like that, this is a really, really strong one.
When you're adding
Yeah.
friends, you can now also create groups. So if you're an organization and you want to use Symbios together as an organization, you can now group them and create your own private workspace, essentially.
That's also a really, really good one. So as Max was mentioning, one of the new features that we have also for friends is that you have a full visibility around what you want to share with others. You can also now do it in a group. So as an example, if I do now here Symbios AI, I can create a group and people in this group can choose to share their network. So this is the simplest way to share networks with trusted partners. And I can add people into the group. So I can add, for example, Max. Now Max is in the group. Now we can reason across that. So now as long as someone joins the group and accepts the invite, they should be able to then come in and reason across the network of this group together. It just allows for that more ecosystem and community-driven approach to be done. Yeah, I think those are really the big ones. And as you see, is Max shares some of the workspaces and missions with me. I would have visibility around that, also in circles. So now I can also see some of Max's circles that he has made public to the friends. So, I can go in to look at those. And of course, if you don't want to share a circle with someone, you can always just make this private. It's either, hey, here's a list of people that, maybe I want to add value to my network. And I can say, amazing engineers, you should hire, to give you an example, right? And I can just say, hey, this is a public group of engineers that I vouch for, and that anyone can ask me for a warm introduction in my friends. So now I can create that circle. And if I wanted to put the description and do everything, now I can have it here. So this is a public one. So if I wanted to come back here and add Max to that circle for someone to recruit, now I have that. Now all of my friends would be able to find Max as someone that I vouch for. So this is really where we view the power of circles becoming one of those places where you can really start to share a list of stakeholders, groups that you vouch for, people that, that are interested or that need more visibility within your network. And as you work together with teams, have a list of people that you're continuously looking for or want to add value to, etc. This is really where it's starting to become unified. And I think that is the majority of the changes.
I gotta say, guys, bravo. That is really an amazing amount of progress since the last time I saw it. And yeah, I'm just gonna take it in for a moment.
I mean, it's one of those things, right? Like, we've been so deep into the water, and we've been very much looking forward to this conversation as well, because I think, when you're developing something for such a long time, or a short time, that feels like a long time, because there's a lot of things being built. So thank you also for just organizing this. I think it's going to be amazing in the documentation of the journey, because for us it's so important to be building with people, right? And see the evolution of this as how it grows from more like an MVP that we had last time to now a full product, right? To then the next version where it's going to have the full intelligence across email, calendar, transcript, which is more automated, to then the full sort of
messages
ecosystem. Exactly. With the
whole
full
context.
ecosystem and the team and things like that. So I think each iteration is going to be super cool to document.
Adding on that, our philosophy is what we feel like is really centered on two parts right now. One is helping you find the people that are really relevant to you and only focusing on relevance and cutting out noise completely. Because in the end, you want to find the right person and collaborate with the right person and get only information and news that are relevant for this collaboration. And the second part is we believe that one introduction can change the trajectory of your life and your company. So with that collective huge network, I mean, if you have 2,000 connections and then you and your team pair up and you have 5 team members and you have a collective network of 10,000 people, just the chances and opportunities of finding 5 to 10 introductions to a person that is fundamentally changing the company, or in a thinking of an accelerator point of view, having 10 cohort companies and just making one warm introduction from these 10 companies to the right investor, to the right customer, or the right expert can fundamentally change the success metrics both of the company and of the accelerator. And that's what drives us, and we're this is the value that we're able to surface here. Why should you talk to that person? How can you talk to that person? How can you make that introduction? And we believe that this is the foundation of building collaboration and unity on a large scale. So we're just at a very, very small first start, but we can already see this in powering events, connecting communities, connecting ecosystems of communities to each other. I mean, the scale of this is just, and the excitement is just incredible.
Yeah, and I think to to tap a little bit on that as well, right? One of the important things is we're setting this category because it really is a new category. I think many because we've had so many conversations, and I think networking, digital networking, what we hear over and over again is it's very painful, but it's just sort of become the status quo. But there's also kind of a little bit of a change in behavior, right? Like how do I add value to my network? How do I also acknowledge that in my life there has been introductions that people have made that have allowed me to be in the position that I am today, right? So it's really building the solutions, but also building the content. So that's where we started Serious as well, where we're talking to founders and investors and give them visibility. So it's really about engaging with the community across all the different layers, the education, the product, the events that we're hosting, really making Sumbios the trusted network. That's really our end goal, right? Making it a place where people feel, oh, if I come here and I use the products and I engage with the Sumbios community, I'm there to give, but I know that that giving is going to be reciprocal. So I think this past 3 months have been so instrumental for us to get into that. And big part of that has also been thanks to the accelerators and the people that have invited us in. So we recently joined Hedge at an accelerator in Helsingborg. And one of the things that we found there that was so good is their inclusiveness. They were
Mm.
so willing to help us, so willing to connect us to accelerate our growth. And it was just like, oh my God, this is just exactly what we want to replicate. And how do we do that in a digital ecosystem, right? How do we connect investors, founders, builders, and people who are meant to find each other so that opportunities can flow?
I want to pick up on one thing that you said that is especially interesting to me, but I think other people as well, which is the story of how these connections actually start to stack up. And yeah, like you said, Max, that one connection can really change your life, change the whole direction of a company. And I've been talking about this with other folks who are kind of in this like network weaving role. And it's a very invisible
Mm.
role, which is unfortunate because it's actually very important. And so any way to surface that story of like, oh yeah, this one connection led to that, and then everything opened up, and that becoming visible, like on a timeline, on a kind of a milestone chart. It's like this was a big moment when this person just said, "Hey, made that warm connection." And I think having that kind of storytelling built into what you guys are doing will also just create a feedback loop of you can see the value where, people who make the connections get some kind of reward even. So I would definitely encourage that because this is such a good
Mm.
tool for network weavers that having that work of doing the weaving be able to be visible
Mm.
and rewarded would be amazing.
Mm.
So one of the mechanisms that are already under development is you can actually go and ask the network of friends that I have, hey, I am looking for this. Do you know someone? So the system would actually go and ping your friends and go run a query based on what I'm looking for and say, hey, Paolo, Andrew's looking for this. Here are 10 people who may be relevant. Do you want to make an introduction? Right, to be able to get the weaver to also be in control of that, as we see that's very important as well. We also seen that a lot of these things are for power users, so builders. So this is sort of where we're moving towards. But one of the things that we want to create and should be able to release that quite soon is to be able to create an MCP, right? So the MCP will then be that communication layer where now you can actually use something as Claude or whatever system you have in mind. As long as you have an API connection, it should be able to reason across the systems. And as you know, Claude with different toolkits and things like that should be able to reason, but we are not the one that is creating that reasoning layer. What we are creating is really a system that becomes extremely easy for the everyday Joe to be able to come and bring in the relational nodes, create systems like that, and teams to collaborate.
If I have pre-existing notes and data about my network, whether it's an Obsidian Vault or a Google Doc or whatever, Apple Notes or wherever I'm putting it, is there a way to get like my previous notes
Ah,
in and then oriented to what's going on, you know?
that's a super, I love that question. So, I mean, today you can create a note and add documents into it, right? So it's a little bit more manual. You can add, transcripts or other things into it. And you can then just tag it to the right person in your network. And that creates that internal memory already within the system. So that's possible. In the future, of course, the next big integration is the email, the calendar, and then the transcripts around meetings. And then after that, we're looking into documents. So the system is going to be built so that you can actually reason across your different platforms to be able to add contextualized information across it. But that's more 3 months ahead, I would say.
For sure, yeah, yeah. Now we're in like the dreaming part of the conversation. So that's why I'm asking these kind of
But
bigger,
I
deeper
love it.
questions. Yeah, because also
Well,
I feel like I can help kind of nudge you guys in the direction where it'd be more convenient for me to use. So that's what I'm doing now. Just giving you. Actually, yeah. A good place to kind of bring it to a close is how has it been like working with actual users, or what kind of feedback have you gotten? How has it helped shape it? You know, how many people are using it right now? What's that been like?
Um, I mean, it's been really interesting. Some people have described it as LinkedIn search on steroids. Finally, being able to organize their network and building that own relationship memory. We have actually a very interesting thing coming up. Somebody is building a whole way of working with a network as like a curated workshop cohort on top of our tool. So there will be like this sort of like human coaching aspect of how do you work with your network, and grounding using our technology as a way of organizing and orchestrating the network and looking into it. So we see that like the human side and technology is already starting to merge. About a
Mhm.
month ago, we have actually stopped onboarding for a very deliberate reason, because we have started building that waitlist for the next version. And this was really for us a purpose of listening again deeply in what do people need? What is the dream state of what you would like to be able to do with your network? What is sort of the frictions? Like, what should be easier to be done with your network today that is not possible? And we have taken all of that feedback and have assembled that and really dig deep. And this is shaping our roadmap. So we're super excited to finally like release that and onboard everyone new into the new version.
yeah, and I think also I think what's important in this, even before we set out to create the POC and the MVP, we spend a lot of time talking to people. So I think if I were to condense the amount of conversations that we've had when we've asked deep questions about networking and the challenges, it's been over 100. So even when we open up the waitlist and people started to then document them themselves, it was almost like a little bit of like, oh wow, we've actually heard this so many times. So I think for us that also it's turning back and say, all right, so now really we are confident that the product and the proposition is very much needed. We validated the willingness to pay, which is crucial. Right now, let's make sure that we have the right conditions to start onboarding people so that the experience is extremely good, but we also do it in a way that allows us to keep collecting now feedback more around usability and doing more product-led growth so that we can also find the right ideal customer profiles at this moment, right? Where at the moment, the economics of the business is scale, right? That we're bringing enough revenue that we can keep developing it. So I think now it's really we are hitting that balance of where is the value that we can add today to those power users that have the willingness to pay and the ability to pay for it. How can we use that in order to keep growing it? And all of this is towards moving towards that operating system for networks, where suddenly the network is already kind of curated and co-owned by the collective. And it's been a really beautiful journey to get to this point, actually.
One question I wanted to actually follow up on with you guys is that I think there was maybe a connection from the last podcast that we did.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, I love this one, right? And it's already been publicly announced. So both Christina and Ian came together, and we started to have a conversation with them shortly after you published the podcast. and they both met each other, I think, around November, and were extremely interested about this aspect of network intelligence. So we started to have conversations about, hey, would this be maybe something that they do partnerships with us, with Sumbios? How, what could be a collaboration? And at some point, we just kind of realized, hey, there's so much alignment here. Why don't we build together? So they're actually now part of the team, and both Christina and Ian are leading the go-to-market and ecosystem and community side of things. So working very closely with Max and myself around that. So yeah, again, one of those beautiful examples that through a trusted partner, we were able to welcome two amazing people into the team. So thank you for that, Andrew. I'll have to write a little note and own that.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I want is like a big banner on O that's like, we did it, we made a connection, it worked. Like, hooray.
They were sitting in South America at that time that we met, right? Like on the other side of the planet, but there's so much alignment and so much heart in there that we just feel like this is an incredible alignment, incredible match made in heaven. So the power of networks and the power of introductions is real. Like we really feel that they're also with us shaping O in a way that is changing the trajectory of the company. So yeah, we're living it. We're breathing it. And now it's our joy to make that more accessible to everyone out there who wants to experience the same magic.
Amen.